All right, good morning, everybody, and we are here at the Valiant Air Command Museum down here in Titusville, Florida. So we're gonna go check this place out. Hope you guys enjoy it. All right, guys, so we are at the Valiant Air Command Air Museum down here in Titusville, Florida. And if you don't know exactly where that's at, check out this map I have on screen. It's actually really close to a place called Cocoa Beach here on the eastern side of Florida. Highly recommend checking this place out if you guys are ever down here visiting, because this place is awesome and we are about to walk through it. So let's go check this out. Welcome to the Valiant Air Command Air Museum, guys, and this place is amazing. I've already walked through it, but now I get to walk through it with you guys. And so after you enter the museum, get your admission and walk through the gift shop there, when you come out into the main hangar space, you are met with some amazing things right off the bat. And if I spin around, what better way to greet you than an F-14 Tomcat? We got an F-14A model, and I always like to emphasize how big airplanes are. If you think the F-4 is big, this thing is massive. The empty weight of this thing is like somewhere just above 40,000 pounds. And look at those speed brakes. And again, remember, 6 feet tall, and I'm mid-level on the engine nozzles. That's the fuel dump, tail hook. And this being an A model would have had the TF30s, and made by Pratt & Whitney, and that's the nozzles. That's one of the distinctive features. That's how you can tell an A model. Some Bs still retain the TF30s, but a lot of those would have had the upgraded Pratt & Whitney F-110s. Speaking of F-110s, one other airplane that could take those, F-16s, the Viper. And I'm just in awe because they got all sorts of amazing things. They got engines on display. They got all sorts of stuff, and some of this flies. So the Viper here, yeah, it's a little tall, and I just ducked underneath it, but that's tiny, especially compared to something like a Phantom or another fine McDonnell product behind it, a Legacy F-18. I believe that's a C model, right? F-18C? Oh, it's an A, okay.
So it's a Blue Angel jet.
That actually was a Blue Angel jet, an F-18A model. Oh, that's right, because they just went to the Super Hornets a year or two ago, right? Yeah. And I spin around behind me. I'll get in front of this. That is an actual C-47 that saw combat. Which battles?
Everyone. D-Day, Market Garden, Operation Varsity, Bastogne, then went on to the Battle of Bulge, and then after that the Berlin Airlift.
Wow.
And then post-war, Norwegian King and Queen had it as a royal flight, and then it came to us in Florida.
Nice. And that is an active flyer here at this airfield. How often do you guys take her up?
Roughly once a month.
Okay.
And there's a couple of parachute teams that will jump out the aircraft. More sense than me to jump out. But.
Nice. Nice. We'll get around to the front because I'm backlighting you guys with the open hangar door there. But yeah, let's move around. But let's get back on this Tomcat. Very, very big F-18A models. You can see where the glove vanes would have been. And I can comfortably stand underneath this airplane and still not reach the upper surface of the wing, unlike the Phantom where you kind of have to duck. But look at all this. This is a huge airplane, and it's over 70 feet long. Our Phantom is only about 60, just a hair over 60. And this thing is amazing. Get the duck underneath it. Massive intakes. There's the face. There's the compressor face of the TF30s. Echo. Duck underneath it. There's a recess for a Sparrow. There's another Sparrow recess, and there's a third one way back in the back underneath here in the center line of the aircraft, the tunnel. But wow, what a big airplane. And look at that tow bar. That's way bigger than what we have on the Phantom. I'm loving this. All right, let's go check out the C-47. Love the name there, Tico Bell. These big Pratt 1830s. Very cool. Oh, I'm digging this. There's an old SNJ, or also known as a T6 Texan. This flies too, right?
That one still flies, yeah.
Nice. And I'm really loving the fact that this has GoPro mounts. And can we get a peek inside this?
We can go inside.
All right, we're gonna go inside that real fast. But let's check out this. This was actually a Blue Angels Hornet. And part of how you can tell that is if you look up here, there's no gun door. The gun was removed, and I think they put an oil tank in place for the smoke. But definitely a legacy Hornet, because you can tell because it's got the round ducts. And being a McDonnell Douglas product, much like our Phantom, what I understand is doing an engine, getting the engines out of this, far easier than what we just went through last week with the F4. But still really cool. There's an F401. Really big engine. This is what was tested in the F-14 Tomcats early in their life before they just went with the TF-30s, because getting these in production would have taken a lot longer. Very compact nozzles. And look at that very, very beefy landing gear. Wow. And an ejection seat. I wonder if we can scavenge some parts off of this. Nope, that's the wrong model. Alright, let's get to go inside this.
Yeah.
Alright. Oh, you guys could smell. You definitely have that nice aroma of old airplane, and it smells really nice. That is Navigator Station. Oh yeah, look at all this. Love steam gauges. I'm sorry I'm backlighting you guys. There you go. How awesome is this? A living piece of history that saw combat service and all the major engagements, plus post-war in the Berlin airlift. That is just flat out amazing to be able to walk through this. And you guys can too down here at this museum. Your compartment. What do you guys keep back there?
Oil maintenance.
Okay.
Originally it used to be the King and Queen's Kazi.
Oh, okay. Nice. Wow. And it's hard to show on camera. That looks somewhat level, but that's easily what, a 20-degree climb?
It's a climb.
Yeah, you're going uphill to go up there. And it's not hard to see why, with it being a tail dragger. Thank you for that.
No problem.
All right, so that's this side of the museum. Let's go over that way. Fun little fact for me personally, when I got into DCS around 2018, this was the first fast jet that I ever bought for myself. And because at the time I had the P-51 and I had the A-10 Warthog. This is the first jet that I had that had an afterburner on it, and wow, that was a lot of fun to start learning how to fly, because that thing can do all sorts of things that the A-10 can only dream of. But sorry, still can't get over how big the Tomcat is. All right, let's see what else we got, because there's something even bigger than this. And I bet you're saying, Diesel, what could be bigger than this? Well, just check out that tail rotor. It goes almost all the way up to the beams that hold up the hangar ceiling and roof. That is an MH-53 Sea Dragon that the Navy would have operated. Look at these massive, massive rotors. 3 engines on this beast. They would use this for anti-mine work, amongst other things. But they would tow these orange things. They would put those out on cables and tow and try to snag undersea mines where like enemies would have mined the harbor, stuff like this. This is like a sea mine. And they would try to find all those and get rid of them so our ships could operate safely. And this thing is just massive. I can't get over how big a helicopter can be. And there's these not targets, but these towed things. I almost want to call them paravanes because you would have those on a battleship, or other surface ships would have paravanes. I don't know what these things are called, so don't hold that against me, guys. Still huge. One blade is off.
Yeah, because it comes down to here otherwise.
Oh, it'd be way down here?
Yeah, it would be down on my chest.
Wow. Oh, like right around there or so?
Yeah, it would come down right, like halfway down.
Nice. And then we got it's a M860?
It's an SH-60B.
Okay, SH-60B. That would have been Navy, and that's anti-sub warfare, and we'll go look at that here too, but wow. Huge. That's a neat feature too, these mirrors. So both crew would use these whenever they had the anti-mine things. That's all I'm going to call them. Sorry, I don't know the proper name. But if the cables would snag something, they could see it in these mirrors, and you had them on each side. But wow, what a big aircraft! It is dwarfing this Seahawk, which also has all sorts of folding goodies on it. And this would have been used for anti-sub warfare, would have carried torpedoes. These are sonar buoys that they would have jacked out the side. There's an operator station that we'll get inside and look at. So there's the sonar buoy rack there. There's the operator console for the sonar operator in the back. And if I'm not mistaken, they had a sonar dome that they could deploy out of the bottom of the helicopter on a cable. So they would dip a sonar array into the water and listen for submarines.
That's it, right?
Yep. I believe that is the magnetic anomaly detector. So what they would tow that behind the aircraft. That would deploy out on a cable as well. And as they would fly, a steel hull, a sufficiently large mass, does distort the Earth's magnetic field, and that can sense that. So if you fly over something, that would pick up on it and be like, hey, there is something in the water underneath you. And it's big, it's heavy, and it's made of metal. And that's that little dude. I don't know where the sonar would have popped out. It's somewhere down here. It would have winched out of the bottom.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
just got this.
Rescue winch. But really neat. Anti-sub warfare is a really interesting field. Ooh, what's this?
F9F Panther.
Oh, okay. Didn't McDonald make this? HVARs?
Grumman?
Oh, yep, Grumman. Early Navy aircraft, early jet, I should say. I love seeing the HVARs on it. And we got a Wildcat. This was recovered out of Lake Michigan, where during World War II that they would use the lake as a training ground and park a carrier deck in the middle of the lake for naval aviators to practice on before they deployed out for combat. And this airplane was recovered out of Lake Michigan and then brought here, right?
Yep, we restored it.
Yep, and they restored it for display. And that is really cool to see. Behind me, we got a Stearman. And then there's another one way over there, that blue one, much like what we got down in Texas at Lone Star Flight Museum. And also like Lone Star, They have a B-25 as well, and that flies about once a month too.
Roughly, yeah, once a month.
Yep.
When she's not in maintenance, which is unfortunately where she is right now.
And in classic radial engine fashion, there's the corrosion protection system, aka it blows oil everywhere. So, yeah. I love radial engines, but man, are they dirty. We got some other neat stuff in here. We'll get around on the front of this. What is that German airplane back there?
ME208 liaison executive VIP transport.
Okay. So, ME208.
Aircraft.
So this would have flown generals and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Interesting engine, and that looks like, what's the engine?
Renault 6Q.
It's an inline.
It's inverted.
Yeah, it is inverted. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's an inline 6. Interesting. And that's Germans like the upside down engines. Remember the BF-109 with its DB601 and 605, depending on which model you're talking about. That's an inverted V12. So that's kind of neat. An inline 6. That's really cool. And then we got an L4 Grasshopper.
Mm-hmm.
Does this fly?
Yeah, it's in restoration. So the owner recently changed hands and he's restoring it to fly.
Nice.
So it's actually the owner of the steering.
It's mostly a Army version of a Piper Cub.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. And then we got a Dauntless, and we'll walk around this. We got some cockpits back here. I hear a growling Sidewinder being played. Sounds like the Gulf of Sidra incident. We got an A6 Intruder. What's this one again?
S2.
That's an S2 tracker. What's that in the corner?
106.
Oh, an F-106?
Yeah.
And I don't remember.
T34.
T34.
And Link.
And then a classic Link trainer. And I haven't seen one of those that actually works. I hope to run across one day. That's an old instrument trainer. That's really neat. Complete with an instructor station. Let's go check out this Dauntless. I love how this has the machine gun still in it too. Guy manning his post there, 30 calibers, dive brakes. Little Stearman, you all right?
Yeah, I'm not paying attention.
It happens to me on the Phantom all the time.
Should be a bite.
Yeah, Phantom bite. Bet I didn't catch that on camera. But I don't know about you guys, especially you DCS flyers. I would love to see a torpedo bomber in DCS one day. Someone out there is going to have to make it happen soon. And I don't care what country it is. It could be a Dauntless, could be a Devastator,
Kate,
a Jill,
Avenger.
Heck, I'd take a Ferry Swordfish and whatever the Germans were using for torpedo bombers. Give me a torpedo bomber and I'll happily fly that thing. And then yet another Stearman. Awesome. I love round engines. It's interesting to see how far out they get mounted sometimes. There's your oil tank and all the accessories that being driven off of the back of the gear case. Really, really cool stuff. All right, so that's the main hangar. Let's go check out the Vietnam War hangar next. All right, on our way over to the Vietnam War Memorial Hangar. And that is a cutoff section of a B-52. And we're gonna go crawl in it here in a minute. And then they got a stretched Huey. That's at least an H model or later stretched Huey fuselage. But that's really cool. And it's air conditioned too. So let's go wander off in there because there's some really cool stuff inside there. What are we looking at here?
That is the B-52 electronic warfare officer seat and the navigator seat.
Navigator's on what side?
Good question. It might be defense.
Okay. Oh, he might be upstairs?
Yeah, he might be upstairs.
Okay. Look at all this. This is really cool. B-52H. We can go up.
You can go up. Watch your head.
Yep.
There's the top office, so to speak.
Not original equipment, but it's nice to have an air conditioner in here. Oh. Oh, wow. Oh, look at all these steam gauges. Love it. That is awesome. It's, for such a big airplane, it's not a lot of room up here. Oh, wow. All right, guys, we are entering the Vietnam War hangar, so there's a lot of fun stuff to see in here. And if you saw the last video, you already know there's a really nice F4 Phantom in here. It's a J model from the Navy, so let's go check everything out in here. Hey, that looks familiar. We got a T-33. That looks a lot better than the one that we have. Nice. We'll get to that. Ooh, a T-34. We got a stretched Huey. That looks really nice. A lot bigger than our Huey there at the hangar. This is easily an H model or newer. That looks like a an S2 cockpit. S2?
Yeah, OV1.
OV1. Okay, got it. Army.
Hawk.
That's it. Oh, nice. A nice Vietnam War memorial with all the names. That is awesome. There's the engine and drivetrain out of a Huey. It's a T-56. No, that's not a T-56. It's a T-50 something, I remember. Someone will correct me in the comments, I'm sure. And engine and transmission and drivetrain. That's awesome. All right, let's walk around to the other side. All right, I know what's behind me is going to pique a lot of interest. That is not a P-51. That is half of an XP-82 twin Mustang. And from what they told me here at the museum, this is the only flyable example in the world, right?
In the world.
And it's right here. It's being restored or something?
It's under maintenance.
Okay. Kind of like what we do with the F4. It's under...
Exactly.
Just under heavy maintenance. And this, since it's a prototype, has Merlins underneath the hood and not the Allisons. So that's pretty unique. And that side over there has one to have the props counter rotate. The whole crankshaft spins the opposite direction than a normal P-51. So the left-hand side would have had a normal rotation engine, and the right-hand side had a counter-rotating engine, which the entire thing, the crankshaft, reduction gear, everything spun the opposite direction. And that's unlike a P-51. You got the six 50 caliber machine guns. There was a doghouse that could fit underneath the wing there for 8 more. Being that all 6 are in the middle now, you didn't have any on the outboard wings. And let's get we can get up close, right?
Yeah, we can go.
All right. It is a very large engine. Nice big V12. I love it. Your twin supercharger, your dual stage supercharger, dual speed, dual stage. And there's the intake duct, and hard to see, but if you guys see those are the openings for the carburetor barrels for your carburetor. And then air scoop for cooling system, oil and radiator. This one's a little bit more complete, but that's what the shrouds would look like for the exhausts. That one's being worked on, and like I said, that's the one that spins backwards. This thing is awesome. Twin boom tail, almost like a P-38. And spark plugs that are a lot more agreeably easy to get to versus a radial engine. But this thing is really awesome. The hopefully we get to see this thing fly at some point. If I'm ever back in Florida around the time that happens. Oh, trust me, I'll get that on camera. All right, if I spin around now, we got an F8 Crusader. Behind that is an A7 Corsair 2. And something that's very familiar to a lot of us is an F100D Super Sabre. This one being the single seat model, and unlike ours, has a painted tail. Now, ours has a shiny tail because the Air Force got tired of having to keep painting that area because that's where the tailpipe is. It kept burning the paint, and like you see in this image here, and then even when they were shiny, the aluminum would still get discolored and they would have to polish that out from time to time, but that was a lot easier than having to keep repainting the tail. All right, this Super Sabre is a little more special than our F model because the Ds and all the single seat versions had 4 20mm cannons. These were revolver cannons, not like the 20mm Vulcans, the Gatling style, but these are single barrel revolver cannons, but still 20mm, same cartridge and casing, but that's where the guns would be on a D model. So that is what we got here. Pretty awesome little airplane. Well, not little, but it's a big airplane. But then we have the Crusader. This thing is looking fantastic. Look outside, there's a, we'll wander outside here, but that's an F-105 Thunder Chief back out there. O2 Skymaster. And there. This looks very similar to an F8 Crusader, and at a glance, you'd almost think they're the same airplane, but this is the distinction between them. You see the intake lip here? On an A7, since it's a subsonic aircraft, it's got the nice big wide air intake. The Crusader there has a very sharp lip on it because that is supersonic. That is not. That's an attack aircraft, and I'm looking forward to seeing that in DCS one day. And I see something really neat back here. Is that a half track?
It's a half track.
Oh, that's cool. What's this wing off of?
C-47. It's a spare C-47 wing.
Wow. That looks way bigger on that than it does in the airplane.
Mm-hmm.
But a half track, you don't see these very often. That's really neat. Oh, look at all those levers. I love it. This thing still runs, correct?
It still runs, still drives. It only takes it out every now and again.
So at least you only got to buy one pair of tires instead of all. I can't imagine maintaining the track system though. Alright, let's move over there and I'll meet you over at the Phantom. Alright, and here's one of everybody's favorites, the F4 Phantom. This one being a J model, and it's extremely similar to our D model that we keep down in Texas. Slight difference, you see the nozzles here? A lot shorter because I believe this either had the J79-8 or -10 version. We have the Air Force for the D models that would have had the -15s like we have, which had a slightly longer nozzle, and then later it would have been the -17 variant for the Air Force. As far as I'm aware, Navy and Marines only use the -8s and the -10s, and they had the short nozzles. And then, but there are an awful lot of similarities underneath, and let's take a quick peek. Tail hook's the same, the folding wings are the same, but the control for that, for us, if we duck underneath here, this is where the switch panel would live for the wing fold mechanism, plus some other ground crew features, and that is decidedly not here. Wing fold was pilot controlled, and it's up on the pilot's console on the right hand side. But a lot of the other stuff and servicing points are still here, like the PC1 hydraulic system bleed. That's that little button right there that I'm pointing to, with the discharge being right there. And you got something similar on the other side. What I'm also noticing is that the starter doors are definitely not down here. There, that is further back, somewhere back there. Nothing's marked underneath here, unfortunately, so I can't really tell. The fuel port would be up front, just the same. Still carries the Sparrows. Has the wide tires that came later. Navy's original tires would have been the taller, skinnier ones, but since this has the wide tires, it has the wing hump right there. And a lot of similarities. You get different antennas for that's the electronic countermeasures, yep, I think. ECM. Yeah, the ECM system, or radar warning receiver, I should say. Yep. Yeah, so electronic warfare stuff would be in there. You got another antenna down there for that purpose, and there's another one on the other intake. Different probes. It's a nice clean radome. Yeah, it's different seeing them painted this color. Yep, another antenna there and one there. This still has the same leading edge flaps like we have, complete with the boundary layer control system. But again, ours is this one doesn't, all the wing locking stuff happens up in the front seat there. All right, and behind me here we got an A6 intruder, and this is nearly complete and looks amazing. Another thing I'm looking forward to seeing in DCS one day, complete with bomb racks. And you can actually see where the cartridges would be installed for the ejectors to get the bombs off. Wing fold. Another cartridge. Was it hollow?
Yeah.
Nice. Very cool. Oh, liquid oxygen servicing cart. Little Grumman Ironworks. Love it. And then got a MiG-17, and this looks absolutely beautiful. If you guys remember, I mentioned you can tell a 17 from a 15. Count these wing fences. A 17 will always have 3. 15 only has 2 of these things. Take a peek inside. Oh yeah, that is decidedly Soviet. Complete with the backwards ADI. ADI? Oh, someone's going to correct me on this. I'm kind of drawing a blank at the moment, but yeah. Your artificial horizon. That operates backwards from anything on this side of the world. So usually a lot of these that would come over would have that replaced to what we use, because it literally operates backwards from what we have over here in the US. Beautiful plane. And what was that one again? I can't remember.
T2 Buckeye.
T2 Buckeye. Old Navy trainer, which was replaced by the Goshawk, I heard. Yeah. Which the Goshawk is still used, and we see those from time to time over in Texas at Ellington. Nice. Okay, what helicopter is this? Oh, there it is.
H-13V Sioux.
Yes. As featured in MASH, but I don't think this one was featured in that TV show. But, yeah. Nice little Korean War. That is in beautiful condition. And this one still flies, correct?
Still flies.
That still flies. I would love to see that one day. It's so interesting seeing something like this so exposed. 6-cylinder gas engine, and like you see, everything is so exposed on this helicopter. It flies like that and carries these guys out of the battlefield. All right, got an RU-21. This is an Army electronic warfare aircraft. That's kind of neat. Almost looks like a King Air, and it might be based off a King Air. I'm not exactly certain. Awesome, we got a C-123 provider here. This is an interesting aircraft, and I'll explain the tug here in a minute. All right, so you notice behind me that we got a fuel tank here and this weird pod here, and there's another one on the other wing as well. So C-123 Provider could carry a lot of stuff, maybe not as much as a C-130, and that still has a piston radial inside it. That sometimes was not enough for takeoff. So what they would do is activate this guy, which is a jet engine in a pod, to help with the takeoff thrust needed to get this thing off the ground. And then shortly after takeoff, this would get shut down to save some gas, and they would just use the radial engines. But that's kind of neat, and it's such a throwback to the 1950s. The 1950s was such an interesting decade for aviation, especially military aviation. Now, the significance of this tug behind me, and you notice how it's strapped to the wing, is these wings generate a lot of lift, and with this thing being light, a good strong breeze will actually move this airplane around. And you guys have had it once where it flips completely around. Yeah, it got turned around a whole 180 degrees. So after that, they strap it to this heavy tug, and it hasn't really moved since, right?
Correct.
Nice. All right, let's go check out this back row over here. All right, guys, this is kind of special. It's not every day I get to see an F-105 Thunder Chief, lovingly nicknamed the Thud, and this has some cool goodies on it, so let me get up close for you guys. That is not the Air Force style of fueling, but that's what I had, the probe and hose system. This has a demilitarized Vulcan cannon, complete with some really neat little dummy rounds here. But that is where this thing would have lived. Scary looking barrels. 20mm. And nice air intakes. Interesting artwork on this airplane. Ye olde warhorse. I like it. This thing is really big. Alright, now I've mentioned this before, like with the F-100, with me being eye level with the leading edges of the wings. Remember, I'm 6 feet tall, and it's about an 8-foot reach for me, and I'm just touching the wingtip. This is a very big airplane. Just wander around back. Got the business end back here. And if I remember right, oh, yep, there it is. You got fuel tanks. That is a Ram air turbine. And that looks like this is driving, oh, that looks like hydraulics. So I believe this is a hydraulic pump being driven by the rat. So it would spin this ways. That's really neat. Yeah, I see a lot of hydraulic fittings there. So that must be a hydraulic system that drives. Unlike the rat on the F4, which is driving a generator for electrical power. So pretty neat. This is a cool aircraft, and this would be interesting to see in DCS one day. Low-level, high-speed tactic or strategic bomber. This would carry a nuclear weapon a lot of times. All right, we got some stuff over that way. Let's go take a wander over. All right, behind me we got an F-101 Voodoo, and this one is really neat. Let me get underneath it. That would be the rocket rails for an Air 2 Genie nuclear missile. So let's go check that out. Looks like it carries 2 by the looks of it, but they would get deployed down from these stations and then get launched. But twin engines. I don't remember who built this, but also a very large airplane. Speed brakes are out. Let's go check out these engines. And I think you got a wash nest in there too. Oh, these are not capped off. That is an interesting exhaust design. Yeah, there's definitely a wash nest in there. I don't want to get any closer because I don't want to get stung. Ooh, that is a very special F5. We'll get up close to that one. Very cool. All right, so this was a research F5 that NASA used. And you notice that the nose on this is very different. This was for supersonic sonic boom study and how to minimize sonic booms. So that's what the special nose on this one was for. So interesting, and they got that. Behind this, we got an S2 tracker, anti-submarine warfare. We have one of those at our airfield that you guys have seen in the past. And what was that one again?
104.
And
That's a privately owned 104.
Yep, and then we got a privately owned F-104 Starfighter. Does that one fly? No? Okay. But yeah, F-104 Starfighter.
And then another privately owned Learjet, but check out the pilot name.
Privately owned Learjet. This was operated by NASA once upon a time. We got to go see the name, because this is a nice little piece of history here. Nice. That is cool that Buzz Aldrin once flew this Learjet. Wow, what a piece of history. That's awesome. All right, we're gonna go wander off back inside. All right, behind me we got an OV-1 Mohawk that is undergoing restoration for a static display. This is going to eventually sit out front of the museum underneath and be the guard aircraft for the museum. But it's looking pretty even without the wings. Behind me is a B-57 Canberra, but it is not what this was. This was actually saw service with the United Kingdom, originally in what they call the B-2 spec. And this, how's that pronounced again?
Kapustin.
And this was the first aircraft to fly over the Kapustin rocket site over the Soviet Union back in the 1950s as for a recon mission. And later got converted into a TT-18, a target tug. So this would tow targets for other planes to shoot at. Not my idea of fun, because hopefully they're shooting at the right aircraft. But that's what this is. And this doesn't fly anymore, does it? Nope, yeah, not a flyer. But very unique history with this bird, and it's quite lovely. Big old wing tanks here. And I don't mind that. I think this thing had, there used to be something that would poke out of the bottom here in case it tipped over. And I don't know the full story on this, but it's undergoing repair right now. And again, the video sometimes doesn't do this justice. Remember, I'm over 6 feet tall and just walking completely normal underneath the wing. Very cool. All right, something in common with the J79s, or at least the Air Force versions. Remember, I've talked about this on the channel. I'll put a link to that video about how we start the J79s, or at least the Air Force variants. Air Force versions had a cartridge starting system, if you remember, and this did too. So if you look at the spinner here, this would hold a 37mm cartridge, and this would get screwed in here, and that's what would spin over the engine for starting the Canberra. But I think they use something a little different nowadays, or at least NASA does. I hope they do. But yeah, interesting system for starting the engines on a Canberra. All right, everybody, Jamie in here from the editing room. Wanted to highlight that not only does the museum here have a lot of awesome aircraft on display, they have a ton of artifacts and models and all sorts of really neat exhibits on display that if I showed everything, it would easily double the length of this video. But wanted to highlight that because they have so much awesome stuff to come look at and see. It's really awesome to see all of this kind of stuff. So just wanted to highlight that real quick for everybody before we move on to the end here. I definitely enjoyed my time here at the museum. It's definitely worth a visit if you're down near Kennedy Space Center, Port Canaveral, Cocoa Beach area down here on the eastern side of Florida. So highly, highly, highly recommend this museum. And again, thank you so much to Martin there at the museum for showing me around that day. All right, guys. Valiant Air Command Air Museum down here in Florida. Oh, wow.
Sentinel.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys can see that up there. AN-26, right? Yeah, an AN-26 Antonov just flew overhead. Wow. See all sorts of fun things down here in Florida. Anyway, that's the Valiant Air Command Museum down here in Titusville, Florida. So highly recommend this place. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and we will see you guys this coming weekend back in Texas at our hangar as we continue working on the F4 Phantom. So until next time, thanks for watching, and we'll see you then.